Today we are going to be going over the 5 GLP-1 microdosing rules that your doctor has no idea about. These are going to be geared towards helping you lose the most amount of weight possible in a sustainable way where you don't have a bunch of nasty side effects like constipation, nausea, hair falling out, things that typically come with increasing your dosage every single month endlessly. My name is Dr. James Starrett, and I have literally seen thousands of patients using microdosing in my clinic to help them lose weight and successfully get off of the medication. Microdosing rule number 1, how often to inject. I see people doing all sorts of crazy stuff online, especially with microdosing becoming exceedingly popular. Lots of coaches and bro scientists out there are offering a lot of advice, so it's difficult to know where to turn. Let me share with you what I've seen work very well. Patients are typically started on tirzepatide these days, 2.5 milligrams. Their dosage is increased or doubled every single month, and it's just going to simply work them up the ladder. After 5 milligrams or so, people usually start struggling with a lot of constipation. Fatigue can become a massive issue. Getting in enough calories and muscle wasting becomes a top concern. So the amount of tirzepatide that we currently start with is usually about half a starting dosage, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on somebody's fasting insulin levels. If you've never had your fasting insulin levels checked in your blood work, it's really important to understand where that's at prior to getting started on a GLP-1. You want to take a look at your 3-month average blood sugar, which is a hemoglobin A1C, along with your insulin. And if the insulin resistance, anything over 5, is severe, let's say you're around a 30, you may want to start with a little bit higher dosage to get those insulin receptors to respond. Anybody around a 10 or less may need a lesser dosage when microdosing in order to achieve the same effect. In our clinic, we really like people to be injecting every 4 to 5 days. It's not an absolute. It really depends on how your body's responding to the medication, how fast you feel like it's being cleared. But in general, what we're looking at is something like this at a 4 to 5 day interval. The concentration stays tighter in the bloodstream, giving you more of an effect at the receptor level. You want to make sure that you're teamed up with a doctor to be able to do this. We make decisions on dosage based off of their blood work and their overall experience on the medication. So please don't play doctor. Make sure that you're working with a health professional to oversee your microdosing. Rule number 2 in microdosing is that you have to change your diet or evaluate what you're currently eating for dietary sensitivities. A really good example, if for whatever reason in your life you've been able to eat all these different foods, but now all of a sudden you're getting a little bit older, hormones have changed, the body has changed a little bit, and you notice that you don't feel as well when you eat certain foods, but you've continued to eat them anyways. Now you're on a GLP-1, you might be eating a little bit less and starting to lose some weight. Those foods ultimately will be the things that hold you back or cause plateau later down the road. And this is especially true. Let's say you need to lose 30 pounds. A lot of times people will lose like 15 and then get stuck. And it's these foods that are causing inflammation in your body that can cause this to happen. There's many different reasons why plateau will occur, but nutrition is ultimately the most important thing at maintaining somebody's weight loss and breaking through a plateau. When I say dietary sensitivities, at our clinic, we always are on the lookout for anything that causes gas, bloating, heartburn or GERD, constipation, diarrhea. And anytime I say to somebody, hey, are you having any of those gastrointestinal symptoms after eating? And they say yes, we want to tease out what is doing that, what family of food, and pull that from the diet temporarily to allow things to heal. Because if you're eating those things consistently, then it will be a source of inflammation and it will be a hang up along your journey. This is going to be different from one person to the next. The foods we like to pick on most are going to be dairy products, so your cottage cheese and your yogurt and your creamer in your coffee. These are common hang-ups. Legumes, so peas and beans. Now, this can go for a lot of your non-dairy protein powders out there that are powered by pea protein. And then lastly, nightshade vegetables. You really need to pay attention to these 3 if you do have a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease or you've been diagnosed with autoimmune disease in the past. Rule number 3 for microdosing is be sure to check your blood work and evaluate yourself for hormone deficiencies throughout this process. I always check patients before getting started on a GLP-1 or immediately when we start to work together. Because even if you're currently losing weight, we want to make sure that we evaluate why you may have gained the weight to begin with. Things like a low thyroid. We want to be checking more than just a TSH. You want to be checking free T4, T3. Clinically, the biggest deficiency that we see is low T3 or a deficiency in thyroid hormone. This slows your metabolic rate. It slows the rate at which your body burns energy, burns calories, and it will make you tired. It'll make your hair fall out. It'll make you constipated, and it will impact your weight loss in a negative way. You have estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. These hormones need to be checked. If you do find a deficiency here, you may continue to lose weight to a point, but if you stall out, it could be directly related to one of these hormone deficiencies. So you need a plan going forward on how to address that. Microdosing rule number 4 that I would have you look at closely is meal timing. So a lot of people will say, Dr. Starrett, should I be fasting? How often should I be eating? For the vast majority of middle-aged men and women that we're working with, I would not advise prolonged fasting for a couple different reasons. Number one is when we run functional labs, I see typically a lot of insulin resistance. I see inflammation, hormone abnormalities in almost every single person that I work with. I would much rather resolve those things because those directly correlate with cortisol being too high, a lot of stress, and a lot of demand on the body. What can happen is that if you start fasting or prolonged fasting on top of this, you can quickly overwhelm the body and put the body into a scarcity mode where you may lose weight initially, but quickly plateau. So what do we consider a prolonged fast? I would say anything over 12 hours is too much for most people in this position. We want to try to take care of everything else that we just discussed prior to pushing someone's body that far. That would typically look like stop eating at 8, no food after 8, and don't eat till 8 a.m. the next day. Pretty easy because you're asleep for most of that time frame. Where I see people go wrong is they will extend it to lunch. They'll stop eating at 8 p.m. and they'll extend all the way till lunch the next day. And this will be on top of taking their GLP-1. And I can see a lot of blood sugar abnormalities and odd things happening with insulin during that process. One of the most common things that I see is a lot of times people will have coffee and creamer when they wake up and no food until lunch. From what I've seen, this tends to be a really good recipe for plateau and frustration while on a GLP-1 due to the lack of weight loss. We'll quickly correct this when working with patients. We tell them typically to eat every 3 to 4 hours, wake up, have breakfast, make sure that each meal is high in protein. Usually just by implementing that alone, plus removing things that are inflammatory in the diet, people start to lose weight again relatively quickly. Rule number 5, while microdosing on a GLP-1, do you need to exercise? When it comes to exercise, step number 1 is just doubling your steps. If you're getting way under 10,000, let's say you're like 4,000 steps a day, just try to get 8,000 steps a day and start doing the other things right. Nutrition is so important. Making sure you're on the right dosage of the GLP-1 is so important. Then you need to start moving your body. It's going to move your lymphatics. It's going to help your fat cells break down easier. It's going to help you remove toxins, and be sure that you're drinking plenty of water through the process. This is something that's going to facilitate lasting weight loss and prevent muscle wasting in your legs in the initial stages of your journey. What you ultimately want to do is work towards strength training. As we know, muscle is incredibly important towards reversing insulin resistance. And the more muscle you can gain in this process, the faster that fasting insulin is going to go down. So let's say you start off and your fasting insulin is like a 20 and your A1C is like 5.8, 5.6 to 5.8. So pre-diabetic, definitely insulin resistant. And you're like, doc, what can I be doing to reverse this as fast as possible? Strength training added into that regimen, I would say on average will reverse your insulin resistance 2 times, so 2x as fast as walking alone. Now, walking and getting steps is essential. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely essential that you move your body. It has a lot to do with lymphatics. But as soon as you start building muscle, not only will you stop muscle wasting or will decrease muscle wasting, now you're going to be microdosing, so you're not going to be muscle wasting that much to begin with, but you'll probably be increasing your muscle instead of staying still or wasting, and the insulin levels are going to drop way faster, meaning that your body is recovering. And it gives you flexibility to either come off of the GLP-1 or move down in dosage over time, not stay where you're at. For those of you out there who are actively looking for help or considering help, wanting a tailored approach where we base everything off of blood work and what your current experience is in terms of your GLP-1, your nutrition, your supplements, all things included, please click the link down below to work with our team, and we'll see if working together is a good fit. If you're just interested in this process and just getting started, you can watch a video up here where we actually analyze a patient's labs and show you what we did to help her break through her weight loss plateau. Otherwise, you guys, please like, comment, share this video. It helps with the algorithm drastically. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. God bless, and I will see you next week.